It is a pleasure to see everyone today. I know we all would like to be gathering in person, but thankfully the wonders of modern technology do allow us to take part in this momentous occasion remotely. The swearing in of a new justice is one of the most important duties that I am privileged to perform. Having participated in my own swearing in ceremony to the Supreme Court just a week ago, I can relate to what Justice Doherty must be feeling right now. It is definitely a career change going from the circuit court to the appellate court, but it is a rewarding change that will not only bring him intellectual challenges, but also immense satisfaction. Justice Doherty has had a long and productive career in the law. After his time as a staff attorney and law clerk in the Illinois Appellate Court Second District, he worked in private practice for 16 years, primarily in the area of tort and medical malpractice. In 2007, the Supreme Court of Illinois appointed him to the Circuit Court in the 17th Judicial Circuit. Since that time, and especially during his time as Chief Judge between 2018 and 2021, he has done exceptional work, not only in the courtroom, but also for the benefit of the entire state judiciary. His work as Vice Chair of the Court Operations during COVID-19 Task Force has proven invaluable, and his insight and ideas throughout the pandemic were a great benefit to all Illinois judges. He has also made great contributions during his time on the Conference of Chief Judges and as a faculty member during the Education Conference, as a new member of the Judge Mentor Group, and as a member of the Illinois Judicial Ethics Committee. The same skills that have served him so well during his career will be put to good use in the appellate court. But I'm sure Justice Doherty will quickly notice a big change from his days as Judge Doherty. When one moves from the circuit court to the appellate court, there is less interaction with others outside of our chambers. We see our colleagues on the appellate court in conference or when we take the bench for oral arguments. We rarely encounter litigants, and gone are the days of welcoming jurors to the courtroom. We interact with attorneys when they appear before us, but not on a daily basis as we have in the past. Some might be struck by the newfound quiet of the office or the less hectic nature of the day's schedule, but the change of pace has its own benefits. An appellate justice has the luxury of spending the time necessary to fully explore legal issues rather than needing to make a decision in the heat of the moment. We also have the option of writing several drafts of an opinion and seeking input from our fellow justices and our law clerks. Appellate work allows time for careful deliberation and more fine-tuning of our legal analysis. There is less pressure to move the docket along, but as redistricting has shown us, there will be no shortage of work to do. Yes, Justice Doherty will be making quite an adjustment, but his time in the circuit court and his years of service on various Supreme Court committees will make him a great asset to the 4th District. I congratulate him on his new position, and I wish him well. At this time, I would like to turn things over to retired Judge Frances Doherty, Justice Doherty's sister, for remarks. After her remarks, I will administer the oath, and then to close the ceremony, we will hear from our new justice.
Thank you, Justice Holder-White. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. For those of you who are streaming, in recognition of other justices and judicial officers, the legal community, the community at large, and family and friends. My name is Frances Doherty, as I was introduced, and more significantly, I am Eugene's sister. I'm also a senior judge with the state of Nevada. I speak with a single voice on behalf of Eugene's family of origin to describe a more personal but no less impressive side of our brother, who is soon to be invested as a justice with the 4th District Appellate Court. Eugene is the second youngest child of Kathleen and Owen Doherty, whose origins are from Glasgow, Scotland, and whose roots stem deeply in Ireland. Eugene is the first child of our family to be born in this country. He used to lord it over the older siblings that he was an automatic citizen and we had to work our way to that status. It was that pride and love of country and commitment that developed very early on for Eugene that I believe was the engine for his entire life that has driven him to the point of being immersed in the justice system, a system of justice, fairness, and equality that have always been the standards that Eugene has lived by. In our very large family, living on a single income, we shared a priceless love of conversation, humor, and entertainment, often that arose from our parents who would tell us wonderful stories of the past or sing us songs from their childhood and youth. We would often gather around and break into hilarious laughter, mostly at ourselves, at our own peculiarities of us in relation to the world around us. In those days, we used to frequently ask the same question: how many Dohertys can fit on one couch? To which the answer was all of them except the youngest, who would serve us tea. Well, Eugene, based on his status in the family, served us a lot of tea. And we enjoyed and embraced those hours together, sharing each other's company in a very intimate and unique family way. But Eugene distinguished himself in our sibling group. We had very busy parents, and he had distracted older siblings, and he really independently developed significant interests on his own in baseball, in golf, in politics, in NASA, and in debate. Of course, we wouldn't actually call it debate. We would call it his argumentative nature. I remember days when he was a young child and he would walk around the house or walk with our mother to school or to church, incessantly discussing a point of interest that he wanted my mother to validate and agree with. She would ultimately relent and agree with him, and he would jubilantly run away as an 8-year-old boy who was convinced another adult of his compelling then focus of interest, whatever it might have been. Even today, some of you may recognize Eugene's persistent nature on matters of importance. Actually, Justice Holder White, those same traits that I describe as a child are those that likely involve Eugene to the extent that he is in the various committees you referred to. Eventually, as each of the older siblings left the house for college or employment or adventure, the 3 younger siblings were left on their own to develop their own family rituals. It was during this time that they would challenge each other with quickness of wit and knowledge of trivia. They knew every single line of the Monty Python films and threw them out at the most ironic and hilarious moments to entertain us all. Eugene was in his element, bantering most fittingly with his bright and similarly humorous brother and sister. And he always kept up or led them. Much to his enjoyment, Eugene continues to enjoy those types of conversations. The problem is the limited amount of people amongst his environment who are quick enough to keep up with him. Eugene was an independent and focused child and young adult. He developed advanced verbal skills, intelligence, curiosity at a very early age. Ultimately, he relied on those skills and his own self-determination to pursue his interests, including paying for his own college and law school education. It was those early childhood skills that put him at the top of his classes, earned him prestigious clerkships and appointment as a young attorney at Holstrom and Kennedy. And ultimately, they are the skills that have brought him here on this judicial path at this moment in life. Although Eugene's core strengths are not the exclusive reason for how he has arrived at this point today. Without his spouse, Rose DeAndrea, he would not be the person or the judge that stands here before you today. Rose is a kind and supportive person, but she also has a will of steel. And that will has both supported Eugene and with Eugene raised three amazing children, Rachel, Brian, and John. They love him and support him as much as he does them. Eugene finally should be recognized, as we all do in our family, for his commitment to his long-term friends, some as early as elementary school. Eugene is a loyal and committed person to those he loves, and I believe that is indicative of the likely trustworthy nature and supportive colleague Eugene will be on the appellate court. It's worth noting on this day, which is the anniversary of the fall of the French Bastille in 1789, which arbitrarily detained prisoners without access to courts, that we witness and reaffirm our system of justice and the guardians who protect it. I can assure you of two things today. Eugene Doherty is well equipped to serve as a guardian justice of the 4th Appellate District. And if he ever invites you to his home, you will undoubtedly be served with a lovely cup of tea and wonderful conversation. Just grab a seat on the couch. There's always room for more, unless, of course, you're the youngest. Congratulations, Justice Doherty, from all of us.
Thank you so much for those lovely remarks. Justice, now is the time. If you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, and state your name,
I, Eugene Doherty,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of Judge of the Appellate Court for the 4th District
the duties of Judge of the Appellate Court for the 4th District
of the State of Illinois
of the State of Illinois
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I hope that all of those with us today will join me in welcoming the newest justice on the Illinois Appellate Court for the 4th District. Justice, the floor is now yours.
Thank you. In some respects, timing today isn't the best because I'm coming off of COVID. I'm speaking to you here from my dining room, which is obviously very formal, as you can see. And I am just now getting my voice back to where I'll be able to get through this without too much trouble. This week has been a little bit crazy, as you might imagine. I've received many calls and emails congratulating me on this assignment. And I haven't had a week like that since about 2 years ago, when my friend Judge Eugene Doherty of Ottawa was appointed to the appellate court. I got a lot of calls that week too, and it was kind of a false start, but I suppose that my friend Eugene Doherty of Ottawa is probably going to get a few calls this week too. I'm going to try to keep my remarks brief, and as with most things in life, I think it's best to start with the topic of baseball. When I was a kid, few things were as important to me as baseball, playing it, watching it, reading about it. But when I was a freshman at Boylan High School, I made a very important discovery. I wasn't a very good baseball player. Still, I discovered another way that I could play a role in the game that I loved. I became an umpire. And what you find out as an umpire is how to truly be a neutral. You realize that you have to extinguish any allegiance to either team in the game or any interest you might otherwise have in the outcome. You have to realize that having the power to favor one side or the other doesn't give you the right to. Nobody comes to the game to see the umpire. Nobody wants the game to be decided by the umpire's whims. What players want is that the game be called according to the rules. So when I was an umpire, what I needed was this little book of rules in 1977. And those rules, not my preferences, would determine the decisions that I made. So fast forward now to 2007, when I left the practice of law to take a position on the circuit bench. Once again, I was a neutral. Again, I was dressed in black. And the same approach that served me well as an umpire would now serve me well as a judge, except that the rule book had changed. Then as today, the oath that I took was to the Constitution of the United States. It's actually a bit smaller than that other rule book, but in pledging allegiance to the Constitution, you also pledge allegiance to the laws adopted pursuant to our constitutional system. So that's the book of rules that I now need to do my job. I might have the power to decide a case in accordance with my own views, but I still don't have that right. My job is to apply these rules fairly, accurately, and without favor or prejudice. I'm confident that the same approach will be required of me in the appellate court. And so the challenge becomes a personal one. Am I up to the task? If I am, I know that I have others to thank. First, my parents, from whom every ability that I have flows, and whose intelligence set the standard for me to pursue. My siblings, who were my whole world growing up. My many mentors, of whom I'd like to mention two. First, Judge Philip Reinhard, for whom I clerked when he was a justice on the appellate court. He showed me by quiet example the diligence, hard work, and modesty that all judges should strive for. Second, Rich Gaines, my mentor in the practice of law, who taught me, who showed me what it means to be uncompromising in the pursuit of excellence while maintaining a professional and collegial demeanor. I also owe a great deal to my colleagues at the 17th Judicial Circuit, both judges and staff, who made our court a place of mutual support, trust, and good humor. And so by way of example, because I've had COVID this week, my fellow judges haven't been able to celebrate my assignment with me. And while I certainly missed that, I looked out my window last night at about 7:30, and this is what I saw. My colleagues had come to my house, knowing that they couldn't get very close, to give me their well wishes. And it also gave me the opportunity to say something to them that I've wanted to say for a long time, for many years. Get off my lawn. So they did, but it was an example of the kind of spirit that we have in the 17th, and it's something that I hope that I'll be able to emulate with my new colleagues on the 4th District. Perhaps most obviously, I have to thank Justice Holder White and her colleagues on the Supreme Court for giving me this opportunity. Justice Rita Garman was a giant in the Illinois judiciary, but at least in retirement, she can rest easy knowing that she was replaced by a superstar in Lisa Holder White. Poor Justice Holder White, all she's got is me. But my ability to do this job depends most upon my little family. The other day, I happened to come across the transcript of my installation as a circuit judge 15 years ago. And at that time, I noted that I relied on my daughter, Rachel, for her wisdom, for my son, Brian, for his kindness, and my son, John, for his sense of humor. Time has only confirmed how correct my assessment was. Rachel, I still value your opinion as much as anyone's. Brian, I think your example has helped make me a kinder person. And John, you are truly the laugh track of our lives and a treasure. But the glue that holds all of us together, the glue that holds me together, is my wife, Rose. And I have never found an ability in myself that she didn't lead me to first. There is no achievement of mine that is not equally hers. Whether on a road trip, on a family vacation, or making our way through life, she's always been my navigator. So to the citizens of the 4th District, I'm humble about what I have to offer you, but with this group behind me, it might just work out. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us today. Congratulations, Justice Doherty. We're so excited to have you joining the 4th District, and we look forward to a very bright future for you. Thank you, everyone. That concludes our ceremony.
Thank you.